Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the online sessions on DCCN. So, in the today's session, in the last session, we discussed about a brief introduction towards the data communications. So, data communications deals with basically a computer to computer communication, and we always use this computer to computer communication for a very long for a long distance communications, and also the systems involved are going to be complex systems. So for these two constraints, you're normally going to use the communication systems, and this data communication system is going to simply overcome all the difficulties of the postal communication system that we normally talked about. Now let us start going with the unit number one. So unit number one, you're going to have a communication model and a need for protocol architecture and standardization, network types such as LAN, WAN, and MAN, and network topologies such as star, ring, bus, hybrid topologies, mesh topologies, and line configurations are going to be two basically. Point-to-point communication and multi-point communication, and there are two reference models we have called as TCP/IP model and OSI model, and these are the next one is going to be the various switching concepts. Circuit switching and packet switching concepts are there, and we deal with these two switching concepts while we normally going to transmit our data from source to the destination. Okay. So first of all, we go with the communication model. Now, as we already know about a communication model from the basic concepts of the analog communications, digital communications, same kind of a communication model is always going to exist in the case of the data communication as well. Okay, so therefore, in ordinary communication, what are the things we're going to have now? What are the components we're going to have? We're going to have a sender, we're going to have a receiver, and we're going to have a message to be transmitted via a transmission media or a communication media. So using this media, a message is normally going to get transmitted from source to the destination or from sender to the receiving end. So this is what a basic communication model which we have. So where we call that model in the case of analog communication, one as transmitter, receiver, and a channel. Okay, so that means transmitter is normally going to transmit the signal, a receiver is going to receive the signal. Okay, and the channel is normally used to transmit the signal from source to the destination or transmitter to the receiver. So here in this communication model, we simply call one computer as a sender computer, another computer as a receiver computer, and next one is going to be the message signal, and we normally going to use this as the communication model, a simple communication model with a sender and a receiver, sender, receiver, and a message model. So this is a simple communication model we normally going to use, and in this we normally implement with basically client server technology, centralized architecture technology. So using the most popular one in the case of data communications is going to be a client server technology. So we always going to use the client server technology to transmit a signal from or a data from one end to the other end. That is what the case we normally going to use in the communication systems. Now, if you see, there are so many components which are involved in this communication process, in this communication system or a communication model. So the things are going to be like, first one is going to be a message signal. That means the information which you want to transmit is called as a message signal, and source host. That means whoever want to transmit, that is a transmitting device or a transmitting computer, is known as a source host, and a destination host is nothing but a receiver or a receiving computer. Then communication medium, media on which we normally going to transmit the data is called a communication medium, as we already know. Then next one more concept comes into picture in data communications is going to be protocols. So the sender computer is normally going to send the signal by following some protocols, and the receiver computer is normally going to receive the signal by following some set of following some protocols. So what is protocol? Protocol is nothing but a set of rules that are defined in order to control the communication between the two devices is known as a protocol. So protocol is nothing but a set of rules that are defined in order to control the communication between the two devices. It is something like grammar. If at all you want to understand English, or you wanted to do some conversation with somebody else in English, you have to follow the grammar. That means grammar. What is grammar? Set of rules. you should follow certain set of rules in order to have an effective communication between the two parties. Similarly, here also in the case of computer to computer communication, protocol is normally going to be used by the computers to transmit the data from one end to the another end of the computer or a node. Okay, so therefore protocols refers to set of rules or conventions that are defined. Set of rules or conventions that are defined in order to control the communication between the two devices. So it basically represents an agreement which is made between the communicating devices. So usually communication is going to take place between one to one or one to many or many to many. This is what the various methods on which we normally going to communicate. We have one to one communication, we have one to many communication, and we have many to many communications. So whatever it is the communication we are talking about, whether it is one to one or one to many, many to one, it represents an agreement which is made between the communicating devices. So whichever devices are communicating in the process, they have to undergo certain rules and regulations. They have to follow certain rules and regulations to communicate, to involve in the process of the communication. So definitely that particular rules are known as the protocols. So in the entire data communication systems or entire data communications, without protocol, it is not possible for two devices to communicate with each other. But the devices may be connected. Okay, devices may be connected, but effective communication is not possible without the protocol structure. The next, what about data? Data may be in the form of a text. Data may be in the form of a code, such as Unicode. Data may be in the form of a number. It may be in the form of images. Okay, so it may be in the form of a audio. It may be form of a video, as I was talking to you earlier. Okay, and how the data is normally being transmitted. So already modes of communications, the data is normally transmitted by different modes of communications, like flow of data can be done by using simplex mode, half duplex mode, okay, full duplex mode. All these concepts we discussed earlier in the simple communications. Okay, so same thing will be repeated once again here, right? So as we already know about these modes of communications, which normally represents flow of data in the data communications. So if it is simplex communication only, it is going to be only sender always remains as a sender, and a host always, receiver always remains as a receiver. So sender will always send, receiver will always going to receive. That means each party, that means each device is going to perform its own intended task of either sending or receiving. Okay, only at once. Then what about half duplex? In the case of half duplex, at one instance of time, sender will send, receiver will receive. At another instance of time, receiver will send, and the sender will normally going to receive the signals. That means vice versa communication is normally going to take place between the two. That is called what, half duplex communication. That means both the parties can transmit as well as receive, or both the devices can transmit as well as receive the signals, but not at the same time, is what called half duplex communications. The next one is going to be full duplex communications. Both the devices can transmit and receive simultaneously, is what called known as a full duplex mode of the communications. So this is what the communication basic modes we have already discussed in the last session. Okay, so what communication model is normally preferred? The communication model we normally prefer is going to be, we can use it a radio communication model, or we can use a telephone communication model. Either communication models normally implemented for data communications. Okay, so it is based on the applications. We normally going to use either telecommunication model or a radio communication model. So either one of these models are normally used for the data communications. Okay, or it is going to be a mixture of these two, telecommunications as well as the radio communications. We mix up these two to provide a data communications. Data communications is strictly a communication between two electronic devices, is known as a data communication. So what is telecommunication? Basically, it is an electronic transmission of signals between two devices, that is sender and a receiver. That's all. It has to transmit signals between two devices called sender and receiver. So in telecommunication, communication occurs at a distance. It consists of telephony, telegraphy, television, etc. All this comes under simply a telephone, telecommunication model. Now coming to data communications, it is the exchanging of data between two devices via some form of transmission media such as cable wire or wireless medium. It refers to the process of collecting, transmitting, and processing of data between the two computer devices. So, apart from in the case of telecommunications, we purely deals in transmitting the data from one device to from one device to another device. Whereas in the case of data communications, it involves in transmitting, collecting, as well as processing. This is what extra thing which is included here in the case of data communications in comparison to the telecommunications. In telecommunications, processing of data is not there, but whereas in data communications, processing of data between two computer devices is also going to be done apart from process of collecting and transmitting the data. Okay, so apart from these two, it is normally going to happen. Now, what is the relationship between data communications and telecommunications? The data communications is a subset, as I was talking to you, is a subset of telecommunications. So that means we just simply connect a wired wireless medium. We use data communications with only transmitting, receiving, sometimes processing also done, okay, in the radio communication model or a wired communication model. So there are two communication models, that is radio communication model, wired communication model, right? So you can just quote some of the comparisons between the telecommunications and data communications. So telecommunications deals with transfer of information between one or more devices by means of a transmission medium, whereas here it is normally dealing with exchange of information, not transfer of information. Exchange of information can be done between two or more devices over some distance that are not as large as that of the telecommunications. Okay. So that means the distance in terms of distance, the distance is a little bit lesser in the case of data communications in comparison to telecommunications. It applies to the transmission of information only in digital form. In data communications, because data communication is nothing but computer to computer communication purely. Since it is purely a computer to computer communication, the data will be transmitted in the digital form. Whereas in the case of telecommunications, it applies to a wide range of communication technologies such as telegraph, radio, television, and smoke signals. So in the case of data communication, it is purely in digital form. In the case of the telecommunications, the data is normally going to come in wide range of communication technologies. The data will be transmitted through wide range of communication technologies such as telegraphy, telephony, okay, radio, TV, and smoke signals. In the case of data communications, the data is always encrypted during transmission. For security purpose, data has to be encrypted. So at the time of, at the transmitter end, the data will be totally encrypted before it gets transmitted. Whereas encryption is not required at all the cases in the case of telecommunications. Next, here the data bits are transmitted over the medium. In the case of data communications, as I was talking to you, digital data. Digital data means what? We can treat the digital data at the last layer of the OSM model as the bits of data or data bits. So here data bits are transmitted over the medium, whereas here signals are transmitted over the medium. So these are the differences between the telecommunications and the data communications. In telecommunications, we usually transmit symbols such as signals such as symbols, whereas here signal is nothing but the bits in the case of data communications. So these are the certain differences between the data communications and telecommunications. All right. So after this, what I want to say is I'll first go with the network topologies. Okay, because what is a network topology? Network topology deals with the connection between one computer to another computer. It speaks about the connection, the type of connection between the one computer to another computer in the network. So therefore, network topology defines as the manner in which the nodes are geometrically arranged are and connected to one another. So it speaks about the type of connection between one device to the another device. That's nothing but something like, physical arrangement of devices in a network is known as the is normally dealt by network topologies. Now various connections are there now. The network topology is divided into many types such as mesh topology, star topology, bus topology, ring topology, tree topology, and hybrid topology. So we don't have all these things in the syllabus. We have only few things in the syllabus. We have bus topology, we have star topology, we have ring topology. Okay, we have I think a hybrid topology. Okay, and we have a communication model need for protocol architecture and standardization. And we have bus topology, star topology, ring topology, and hybrid topology. We have 4 topologies in the syllabus: bus, star, ring, and hybrid topologies. So we only discuss about whatever the topologies we have in the syllabus. That we have in the syllabus. Now we'll discuss these 4 topologies: bus, star, ring, and hybrid topologies. So in these topologies, once again, there are 2 terms which we are going to use continuously. They are known as peer-to-peer communication, primary, secondary kind of a communication. In the peer-to-peer type of communication, what is peer-to-peer type of communication? Let us see. Peer-to-peer means what? The communication between the 2 devices which are of same capacity is what called generally peer-to-peer kind of a communication. That means the best example is that communication of the students of a particular class is nothing but a peer-to-peer communication, right? That means what? All the students in a particular class are going to be of same capacity. That's what called peer-to-peer kind of a communication. Simple example. So similar kind of thing can be done with the computer to computer communication also. So one type of relationship is going to be peer-to-peer relationship. So in peer-to-peer is a relationship where the devices share the link equally. That means what? Everybody has got same authorities to use the link. That is what called the peer-to-peer kind of a technologies. And the examples are ring and mesh topologies. What are the examples of this peer-to-peer? It's going to be ring topology and it's going to be the mesh topology. And primary and secondary relationship between the nodes we can have. In primary second relationship, one device controls the other device, okay, to transmit through it. For example, the star and tree topologies. So here what happens in the primary and secondary relationships, so one device is going to always send the control signals to other devices. Okay, so in that case, the device which is really controlling the other device is called primary device. The device which is being controlled by the one device is called a secondary device. So in that process, we can just call it as a primary terminal, secondary terminal, peer-to-peer type of the devices. So in this slide, first one is mesh topology explained. Basically, this mesh topology is preferred for the 5G kind of a communication where every device is simply connected to all other devices with a direct link. Is known as the mesh topology for us. See, this computer is connected to this one, this one, this one, and this one. And this computer is connected to all these other devices, other 4 computers. Say that's why you're going to have 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, and 4 lines. So like this, every device is connected to all other devices. It is something like many to many kind of a relationship we have in the case of the mesh topology. And we don't have this in the syllabus. Now let us go to the next kind of topology called as an important topology called as a star topology. So this is nothing but a star topology. All these are the terminals. Computers are known as the terminals. All these terminals are connected to other terminals via hub. That means hub is nothing but a switch, central switch. This hub is normally going to transmit the signal to the appropriate device directly. Okay, that means the delay the delay in communicating the signal from one computer and the computer is going to be same for all the computers which are going to be there in this type of the star topology type of the systems. Okay, so and the star topology is going to have certain advantages, certain disadvantages, right? So what are the advantages? You can just simply think. Now, in this subject called data communications, you should compulsorily think in a very general manner and you should write in the exam with the technical terms. So, for to write them in the technical terms, you have to read first of all at least once. If you read at least once, you will be knowing about the technical terms that you have to use in the exam. So, once you know the technical terms, once you know the basic concept, involved concept, then you have to write by your own in the exam because it is totally theoretical subjects and how we normally going to communicate a signal from one computer to another computer. So therefore you should think about we'll just discuss some of the advantages and you just think in as a concepts and try to elaborate these concepts whatever that we are having in the end examination. So the first advantage is going to be what now, ease of service. So start over as a number of concentration points. Number of concentration points, that means as the number of terminals are going to increase, the number of concentration points are also going to increase, or connections to a hub is also going to increase. So these are going to provide easy access for service or reconfiguration of the network. So here, if at all network has to be reconfigured, if network has to be repaired, where you have to repair? Always at the hub. Okay, if something really goes bad, it has to be rectified from the hub only. So a hub is something like a central processing device or a manager of the entire network of star topology. Therefore, it provides ease of service. And next thing is one device per connection is normally made. See, all the devices, all the terminals connected to the hub. Something like independently, if you think about, every device is connected only to the hub. That's it. Nothing else. That means each and every device need not know about the other devices. Each and every device need not know about the other devices. Now, because of this type of connection, if one device fails, only that device will be affected, but all rest of the other devices will be simply communicating with the other devices in the network. That is what the advantage for one device per connection. And next one, as I was talking to you just now, centralized control problem diagnosis. Any problem is going to exist in the network from hub to the any other terminal, then a central processing can be done at the hub only. So that is what centralized control process diagnosis can be done from the hub. That is another advantage. Simple access protocols. Now the network is very simple. Why network is very simple? It is going to be simply one-to-one kind of communication. Always the communication will be done between a hub and the terminal. That's all. It is going to be always one-to-one kind of a communication. So as it is a one-to-one kind of a communication, because hub is nothing but a mediator. But in reality, every system is communicating with only hub, not with other systems directly. Therefore, the simple access protocols are normally implemented for this. So any given connection in a star network involves only the central node. That means the connection for who has control of the medium for the transmission purpose easily solved. That means the access protocols for each and every terminal in the network is going to be very simple in the case of the star topology. Right. So you can just simply, write down some other things that are there here called as it is a robust technology because if one terminal is not working in the system, all rest of the systems will be simply working. So thereby system becomes simply robust. Failure at one place does not affect the entire system. That's what called a robust system. And each device needs only one link and one IO port makes the star topology less expensive. Every terminal needs only one link and one IO port to the hub. So therefore it really reduces the expenses. It is cheaper, easy to install and easy to configure. So if any link fails, it does not affect the entire link. Another advantage I just spoke about, then easy fault identification and fault isolation. So you can identify the fault very easily because all the devices are monitored centrally by the hub. So that's why the fault identification and fault isolation is also becomes easy for us. So whenever a centralized control is required, we normally prefer star topology there. Easy to modify and add new devices, okay, in the star network connection without disturbing the rest of the network. You can easily replace. And obviously every system is going to have some disadvantages as well. There will be advantages. Definitely there will be disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages that you're going to have? Long cable length, because each node is directly connected to the central node called hub. The star topology necessitates a large quantity of cables. Okay, whilst the cost of cable is often small, congestion in cable ducts and maintenance and installation problems can increase cost considerably. So every network should be connected with its own cable. As the number of terminals to the star connection are going to increase, then definitely the cost, even though it is small, but the cost in terms of the connecting the cables to the duct and maintenance and installation problems is going to be more as the network increases, as the terminals increases. So default to expand, the addition of new node to a star network involves a connection all the way to the central node. So that means expansion is going to be a problem in the case of this particular star topology. Once if you design a star topology to connect say around 40 systems, later on you cannot really make it to 80 systems, because the system is really cannot is not going to support the expansion much. The next is that centralized node dependency. So every terminal should depend on the centralized node, because if centralized node is really not working, all the systems will be simply being halted. So like this we can just figure out so many disadvantages. So as I spoke, each device requires its own cable segment. The central hub fails, the whole network fails to operate. Then in hierarchical network, installation and configuration is difficult. So installation and configuration of each and every network is difficult. This is like if you were to burn down the phone company central office, then anyone connected to it won't be able to make any phone calls. So for example, if at all you are going to close the central office of a particular telephone company, then all the telephones connected to that particular company are simply becomes useless. So therefore, this is what the drawback, because it is operated by centralized system. So if one link fails, there is no alternative to connect it with rest of the rest of the networks. If one link fails, there is no other way for for connecting that particular computer to the network. This is what one more problem. The next one is going to have is called a ring topology. Ring topology means what? It is simply arranged in the form of a ring, means circular form. Okay, so generally ring will be in a circular form. So all the computers are connected in a circular form, where the communication is normally done. Say for example, this terminal B want to communicate to D, then it cannot directly communicate to D. Either it has to go through C or go through A to D. This is the problem. That means the delay that it takes is normally going to increase in the case of the ring topology. So how does the computer A and C will not take these packets, because the communication is normally done by a token ring. So we either call this as a token ring topology. So token ring processing is normally going to be. That means what, this computer B, if at all want to send some data to D, it releases a token. It releases a token along with the packet. This token contains the address, receiving address. So whichever receiving address is there, only that receiver will be normally going to receive that particular packet. All rest of the computers which are there in the network are simply going to bypass, or simply going to pass that packet to the next network. So this is how we normally going to have a ring topology basic operation by using token ring. So we can always call this as token ring topology or ring topology. It is applicable by using the ring topology. So obviously it's going to have some advantages, disadvantages, but the disadvantages are going to be more in the ring topology than the star topology. Advantages are going to be, whatever advantages, but disadvantage is going to be more in the ring topology. What is the primary disadvantage you can see? Just see. Say for example, if A is not working, or if A is not working, what will happen? Then the entire system has to be in a halt, because the token has to pass through all the terminals in the network. So therefore, the entire system will fail if only one terminal is going to fail. This is the drawback of this particular, major drawback of this particular ring topology. And you can just quote some of the advantages, disadvantages. Like advantages: short cable lengths normally used, no wiring closest space required. Okay, so that means not much cable connections are needed here, because neighbors are placed immediately. It is suitable for optical fibers. So using optical fibers offers the possibility of very high speed transmission techniques. The transmission is going to be faster, because all our computers are normally going to transmit data at a very faster rate. And to compete with that speed, we prefer fiber optic cables, because they can transmit signals at that particular faster rate. Because traffic on a ring travels in one direction, it is easy to use optical fibers on a transmission medium. So configuring a ring, installing a ring is very easy. Link failures can be easily found on each device is connected to the intermediate neighbors. Now the thing is that the link failures are normally understood by the neighboring devices only. That means, you say for example, if A got failed, this information will be known to the B or D, but not to C. So that means what? That is what one of the thing which you want to have now. So we should figure out by sending the signals to all other terminals about the failure, because every node is given equal access to the token. No one node can monopolize the network. That means every node is normally given equal access to a token. No node is normally going to monopolize the entire network. And disadvantage is what? Node failure causes network failure. If one node is going to fail, it is going to fail the entire network. As I was talking about, as the network is really bigger network, then what happens? It is very difficult to diagnose the faults, because entire communication is normally going to get cut if one terminal is normally going to fail, or if one link is normally going to fail. This is the drawbacks which we're going to have. Then next one is called as bus topology. It is also called as a linear topology. In the case of bus topology, see, this is nothing but a bus kind of a connection. To this bus joined by cable ends, we normally connect the various terminals. So as these are connected to a bus, which is called as a bus topology basically. Okay. So this is one of the topology which we normally use to communicate signal from one computer to, or data from one computer to another computer. So in all other topologies like mesh, in other topologies like mesh, star, and ring described point-to-point configurations. So they describe star topology is point-to-point, mesh topology is point-to-point, and ring topology is also going to be a point-to-point kind of a configuration or a communication. So what is the meaning of configuration? You have to configure the network before you normally going to transmit any information, or before you communicate any signals. Then the speed of bus topology is slow, because only one computer can send a message at a time. So a computer must wait until the bus is free before it can retransmit. This is the drawback that you normally going to have. A bus topology requires a proper terminating of both the ends of the cable. So both the ends should be properly terminated. What is the advantage of this bus topology? Short cable length and simple wiring layout. Connections are going to be very simple, and it is going to be resilient architecture. means linear architecture has an inherently simple that makes it very reliable from hardware point of view, because all the networks are connected, all the computers are connected to the same line. So it is very easy to connect, very easy to understand. There is a single cable through which all the data propagates, and to which all nodes are connected. Handling is going to become easy. And next thing is easy to extend the network, because the only thing is this line has to be extended, and you can just put so many computers on it. So therefore it is easy to extend. Then what are the drawbacks? First drawback is fault diagnosis is difficult. Okay, that means in this bus so many computers are connected in this bus. Now somewhere the network has damaged. Now knowing that particular fault failure or a fault is going to become difficult here. Okay, then fault isolation is difficult. So whichever device or terminal has really got some problem, you have to keep that in isolation. So that is also going to be very much difficult. So therefore, repeater configuration is also one more drawback. When bus type network has its backbone extended using repeaters, reconfiguration may be necessary. Now this bus topology, as do in order to avoid these two above difficulties, there should be some bypass network. So there should be some bypass network. This bypass network, if at all you wanted to extend, okay, you have to extend that by using repeaters, and a reconfiguration of such repeaters are going to be necessary for us. So nodes must be intelligent enough to make the communications. Right. Why the nodes has to be intelligent enough? Each node on the network is directly connected to the central bus. That means that some way of deciding who can use the network at any given point of time must be performed in each node. That means every node should know when it has to transmit. That is what the intelligence that they need to have. When one node is really transmitting a signal on a particular node, all other nodes should wait. See, when this guy is transmitting, when this particular node A is transmitting, all the other terminal nodes has to be wait until this finishes the communication. So once this is finished, finishes the communication, it sends a signal on the bus that I have completed my task and the line is busy, line is free now. Then whoever is in the priority, that is normally going to use that particular link for communication. Okay. So this is what we normally going to have, where the each and every device has to be intelligent enough for effective communications. Next topology is going to be a hybrid topology. Now, as the name indicates, hybrid. What is hybrid? It is an interconnection of many other topologies called hybrid topology. See now, see the connections here. This is a bus topology. This is a ring topology here. This is a star topology. Now, all these topologies are interconnected. Okay. And when you interconnect all these topologies, this topology simply becomes a hybrid type of the topology for us. So interconnection of various network topology is known as the hybrid topology, simply saying that. The next I was talking to you about line configurations. So how the devices are normally going to, how many types of lines are there, how many ways the devices are connected are by using two methods. One is going to be point to point, another one is going to be multi-point. So line communication refers to the way one or more devices attach to form a link or connected to form a link. So for communication, the devices must be connected in some way to the same link at the same time. There are one to one, point to point, or one to one. It's going to be multi-point. What is point to point? It provides dedicated link between two devices. The two devices are attached at the 2 points on the network. Thus, the entire capacity of the link is reserved for the two devices communication only. So, if two devices are connected like this, the entire link is reserved for these two computers only. That is the problem. So, examples are physical medium through air, changing channel in a TV by remote. Okay, these are the two examples of simple point-to-point kind of a communications. The next one is multi-point. What is multi-point? To the single line, we're going to have many computers connected. It's called a multi-point. In these two or more devices or computers share a same link. No dedicated link is provided. Channel capacity is shared amongst many other multiple devices. So this is what called another type of communication called the line communication. Okay. So with this, we'll end up our discussion. In the next session, what we do is we go with the different types of networks, network categories, types of networks, and then we go into the actual model of data communications. Okay. Thank you very much for today's session.